I think we can all agree that this is a horrible thing to happen to anyone, and that both parties must firmly stand against this behavior. And if they don't, then the party that doesn't has got to go. As of right now, this is still happening. This is still happening, and it's spreading. They're still trying to do this. They're still trying to post this stuff. These generated images of Taylor Swift on all social media. And it's safe to say, perfectly safe to say, that X has intentionally been slacking on this. This has been going on for almost a week, if not longer, and makes perfectly clear, clear as air in the sunlight, how much respect fans of Elon Musk and Republicans, voters, the party, all of it, have for women. All women. Any and all women. And this article says that they depict her and Kelsey, but that's even on the surface leaving out images that depict Taylor Swift being sexually assaulted and battered. This should not be allowed on the internet anywhere. And Biden has been calling for action against this, for Congress to act, and there is a pending bill that I'm sure Republicans are just going to abandon because it hurt Taylor Swift, because she got owned. I know for a fact there are Republicans in state houses and the federal Congress who have saved these images on their devices. This is how much respect the Republican Party has for women in America. This is a political party that on a regular basis fantasizes about chaining women in the kitchen. So that they are nothing more. Chaining women in the kitchen and doing whatever they want to them. This is something that your typical Republican will fantasize about each and every day. It's just beyond self-evident at this point. And if this is the vision of masculinity that Republicans want to go with, then no, I don't want to be a man anymore. I don't want to call myself a man. I don't want to have the male label being shared with these creeps. And this is just not American behavior at all. At all. I'm obviously not going to share you any of these images, but there's been so much reporting on this, and there have been kids exposed to these images. Kids! And yet, Republicans are just okay with it. Obviously. Like, if anything, they're cheering it on. I have yet to hear any Republican official condemn this behavior. Because it's not American behavior. No one should be doing this. anywhere on Earth. It's completely unhuman and anti-American. People in the past didn't do stuff like this, so there's no excuse for it now. And yes, it is very much illegal. That's the part that really gets me. This is illegal. And no one's saying that. No one's reporting that part. And I don't know why. It's not even a stretch to say that. This is illegal. It can land people in jail, and here's why. And it should land those people in jail. It should. So, the types of laws here that are involved are in two of two categories. One is revenge porn, which this certainly is, and two is human trafficking, which this also certainly is. Revenge porn is when you make the choice to post pornography of someone else without their consent. And it is illegal. It is banned, prohibited entirely in every U.S. state on this map that is highlighted in orange. So, unless these came from South Carolina or Massachusetts, it's illegal. And the punishments for these include jail time and fines. And in many of these states, they contain fines and jail time per count. Here's an example of Texas's law. And I dare them to repeal or modify this. I dare them to try and water this down. It would not surprise me at all if they did. Let's look at Minnesota's law because it defines the punishment. It's not left up to a judge entirely. It's not left up to a judge entirely. They determine innocence or guilt, but the penalties are very clearly outlined, and anyone who does this is guilty of a gross misdemeanor and may be sentenced to imprisonment for not more than 3 years or payment of a fine of $5,000 or both. And it goes on to describe the obvious of when that applies. That's the Minnesota law. And there are probably people in Minnesota who played along with this. I would encourage the Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, who, unlike A.G. Paxton, is following the Constitution and does care about the rule of law. I would encourage him to have a look, to gather evidence, and aid other states who absolutely need to be launching an investigation into this. And this is not covered in Section 230. It's not. And lawsuits can be filed, and she absolutely can. There is a law in the 2022 Violence Against Women Act, and Republicans are in favor of violence against women now. If they're just going to stay silent on this and not condemn it, there's a line in this that punches a hole in Section 230 and allows lawsuits to be filed against people, and it could also be interpreted to allow lawsuits against platforms. There is another law that punches another, even bigger hole that Taylor Swift can and should use, and states as well. She doesn't have to be involved in the prosecution of this, but she's a self-respecting woman, and I believe that she should. And you know that law, the one the internet got really upset about, that prevents people from offering sexual services, consensual or not, to other people over the internet. The in-person kind. I'm, of course, referring to SESTA and FOSTA. The very same law that Republicans championed, and a lot of Democrats too. This is a case where it can be used against Republicans, and should. Because this isn't just revenge pornography, which is illegal, and where federally you can file lawsuits against people and platforms for this, and also face jail time. It's also human trafficking. There are people who have made financial gain from this already. It's not a stretch to say that. That they have benefited personally with the attention, and that they now have engaged psychos into giving them money for stuff like this. And this is something that Ellison and every law enforcement agency that is able to must look into. And yes, it is on other platforms as well. But other platforms that are not X, or anything like it, like Gab and Parler, so anything that is not those things, they'll crack down on any pornography quickly. Like, you can't do that at all on Facebook. And if it's reported, it can get taken down. The accounts can get banned. And I know that Elon Musk and X are going to try and put the lightest possible punishment on the people responsible. And that is where the government needs to step in and fill in the void. Taylor Swift and states absolutely have the right to indict Elon Musk, sue him for lots of money. All of the money he has, apparently. Like, if you're doing a civil suit, absolutely. But they can also file criminal charges against him, file criminal charges against whoever made it, and potentially even the companies that allowed the images to be made, whatever technology was used, that company can be sued for letting this out as well. And that's absolutely what needs to happen. Elon Musk is complicit in all of this. Indeed, he is responsible, given just how long he was sitting on his hands knowing this was happening. Obviously, laughing about this. You wouldn't expect a CEO that condemns this to sit on it for a week and then issue a half-hearted statement like we have a zero tolerance policy, and then just act like that policy is optional after, because you know this is the kind of psycho Elon Musk is. No, he belongs in jail for this. He deserves to lose all of his money, and a lot of that, if not all of it, should be given directly to Taylor Swift. There is nothing at all that anyone or a group of people could ever do that will ever condone this kind of behavior. There is nothing that excuses this ever at all. And yet, Republicans are okay with it. So now, it's obvious, right? It's obvious what needs to happen. Taylor Swift is doing nothing wrong here. She's telling young people to vote. And that's something every American should celebrate. And continue to celebrate. And she certainly should keep going. And Republicans are scared that she's going to endorse Biden. After a rigged Super Bowl, because they have to have this paranoid fiction about everything in their minds all the time. And it is fiction all the time. They just have to make stuff up. Because no Democrat would ever be nearly this bad. Ever. And they know it. Republicans know it. So they have to make shit up. It's obvious what needs to happen. If you're a woman that wants anything out of this country, if you want to gain and prosper in any way and get any respect from anyone, here is what needs to happen. Here is what women need to do. Women need to wipe Republicans off the political map. This year, in 2024, by voting for Democrats or ranking Democrats in states that do that. Up and down and all around the ballot, federal, state, and local. And if the local part is nonpartisan, look into it. Look into who is going to respect women's freedom. It's not going to be Republicans. It's just not. They're not about that anymore. They're about the extreme, amplified opposite of that. You know what needs to happen? Not a blue wave. Not suburban swimming pools. What needs to happen from sea to shining sea, no matter where in this country, on this map, sea to sea, covering all of this area, all of it, a blue NAMI that sweeps Republicans away for good, forever. That's what needs to happen over all of this. After everything they've done, and especially what they want to do if they ever seek to regain, if they ever regain power. Don't let it happen. And yes, that does include the president. That includes voting for Biden. That's what needs to happen because he's the only one that's going to be able to restore Roe and put America on a decent path again. And you know what? Would he detonate a tactical nuke in Palestine? No. No one would do that. Except maybe Donald Trump. I wouldn't put it past him to do that and then do a complete Muslim immigration ban. Even if he said he wouldn't do the nuke thing, it wouldn't surprise me if he did that on day one to flex how hypocritical he would be able to be if he takes the White House again. What needs to happen is a blue tsunami that sweeps away the Republican Party and another reconstruction after that. And as always, subscribe if you like, and share if you care.